welcome back to my channel. This is Alex of Coyote Star Astrology, and this is my video for the full moon in Aquarius coming in on July 23rd, 2021, which is a Friday here in California. However, please do adjust for your current location on the planet as that time and date may change. Wow, this is probably the most important full moon of the year, I think. I've been feeling this one coming in all week. I mean, of course, I've been looking at the chart and preparing this video and sort of syncing with the energies. I've been very excited about the implications for what this full moon will bring to the table, even though on the 3D level, it might be pretty intense. I feel like etherically, energetically, and spiritually, this full moon is a celebration. And that's sort of the vibe of this whole full moon, is that it's really going to be experienced quite differently for each individual depending on where they are in their soul's evolution, where they are in their perspective, where they are in their consciousness. And this is really the case whenever we're talking about Aquarius or Uranus, because Uranus rules awakening. It rules the electricity of the body, the kundalini. It rules our connection to higher intelligence or the Akashic, God, source, creator, our highest self, whatever you want to call it. Aquarius and Uranus plugs us into that. So Uranian events are sort of like turning up the voltage on the electricity in the body, and it accelerates awakening. However, the process of this, first of all, it can be a little bit hard on the body, particularly those that are a little bit sensitive. This can feel like an over-caffeinated, almost like you've stuck your finger in the light socket. It can kind of come on like a freight train and frazzle you a little bit. I've actually been having trouble sleeping this entire week because I've been looking at the chart and attuning to the energy, but I've also been very excited. And strangely, even though I haven't been sleeping, I've also been very alert and very awake throughout the day. This is sort of classic Uranian energy. It can lead to insomnia or this kind of jittery. It can be kind of anxiety inducing for some, but it's also very creative. And like I said, it does accelerate consciousness. So we can get these streams of downloads. Our dreams can be really interesting. We can feel more connected to source and our mission and our purpose. But it depends on where we're at. And Uranus delivers shocks to humanity and to us. It creates disturbances or disruptions that shatter the current reality to bring humanity to a new experience that it must have for its evolution. And this is a concept that the deeper you understand astrology, and particularly evolutionary astrology, this is a concept that comes more and more into focus, that each human being will experience disturbances, traumas, shocks throughout life, all for the purpose of generating experiences that lead to growth, that lead to higher consciousness. This is going to be one of those moments for humanity. The reason that astrologers know this, because if we look at the full moon, it's at the first degree of Aquarius. This means that this full moon is coming in just 1 degree away from where we had our great conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius on December 20th, 2020. Huge astrological event. that sounded the alarm for what many consider the official beginning of the acceleration of energies we're seeing now, whatever you want to call it, paradigm shift, age of Aquarius, the awakening. It was like, I mean, I was tuning in, preparing for this video to what was coming up during that time, both in headlines and for myself and for the collective. So I went back in my Instagram archives and I was looking at pictures. And I remember on a personal level, it was very exciting because it was like, here we are, undeniably the moment we've all been waiting for. In many ways, I feel like I incarnated to be a part of this time when I sort of came into my awakening around 2010, and then the intensity of the energies in 2012. All of that just felt like it was leading to this moment that we're now seated in. I felt an extreme connection to my purpose and God, and an extreme connection to the souls, my friends in my community, my loved ones who are on the same page and who are connected to their mission and source as well. But at the same time, I felt and saw the classic Uranian Aquarian detachment and splitting from loved ones and friends who simply are not, or we're on different paths, we're in different realities. There are literally different timelines and different realities existing on the planet right now. I don't know if you've noticed that. That is what this full moon is going to highlight even more. Of what path are you on? Are you connected to yourself? Are you connected to your spiritual sovereignty? Are you connected to source? Because if you are, or if you're on the way there, this is a very exciting time, despite what is happening on the 3D. However, if you are not, if you are disconnected from yourself, or if you are giving your power away, this is a very difficult time, and it's getting worse. And this full moon is likely to accentuate that. This is the illustration of Saturn square Uranus. Uranus is freedom, revolution, the outlaw, sovereignty, higher consciousness, awakening. Saturn is governments, tyranny, restriction, control. So back to the Great Conjunction, when I looked at headlines, one of the big things that was hitting headlines and hitting the collective was censorship. December 20th was literally the day that Instagram issued its new terms and conditions. It was also when the acceleration of censorship, people being deplatformed, people being shadow banned, it's when all of that really started to become obvious. I expect, unfortunately, that this full moon, we will see more in this direction. We already are. Just this last week, the Rockefellers announced that, and I don't have the article in front of me, so I can't remember, that they are donating an absurd amount of money to censorship and the stopping of what they're calling super spreaders of quote-unquote false information. Lots and lots of truthers have been deplatformed since December, but over the last week or two, there's been like this second wave where that has also accelerated. I have been shadow banned on my truther account. I made a new one. I'm going to put it up there on the screen. For those of you that don't know, I have 2 Instagram accounts. The first one is my astrology account, Earth to Coyote. The second one is my Truther account, where I post articles, information, and media that is being censored and not covered by the MSM, mainstream media, and all the information that will essentially get you shadow banned. Well, my first account was shadow banned last week. So I created this new one, and I will be posting there for now. I'll definitely be posting a lot this week because this full moon is going to bring in, I'm sure, a lot of stuff that they're not going to be covering in the mainstream media. Anyways, I digress. Lots and lots of people being deplatformed for spreading any information that goes against the narrative. So we will see what this full moon brings in around censorship, but I will tell you, it has been a week in the news if you've been paying attention. There's been so much happening, it's been hard for me to stay on top of it, but just off the top of my head, we had that weird announcement from the Rockefellers, first of all. Gates and Soros bought out a COVID testing company, because that's not sketch at all. There was a French president that issued a 6-month prison decree if you were found entering a bar without a V passport. We had Bezos go to space in a phallus. What else? What else? We've had the situation in Cuba. Oh, there's been a lot. What it has felt like to me is like the puppeteer, whatever you want to call it, the elite, the ones in power, the ones that are behind the politicians, has gone Frankenstein this week. Like literally, things are just getting weird. And again, if you've been following what's going on, none of this is a surprise, but it's literally like they've got people where they want them. They have so much control now that they can just do whatever they want. They're throwing countries into lockdowns that barely even have any cases. There's the fucking Delta thing. And like, I mean, it's just like, we are seeing what happens when power gets into the wrong hands. This is Saturn, Satan. This is the darkness of the 3D. And when we look at the full moon, there it is at 1 degree in between Pluto and Saturn. Lord Pluto and Lord Saturn, two malefics. So the moon is taking on their energies. So this is a pretty intense force. But I'm sure we'll also see the other side of Aquarius, which is revolution. Again, the mainstream isn't reporting on this either, but there's been tons of rallies and protests. Why? Because people are waking up. People that are already awake are waking up even more, having their consciousness elevated. They may be filled with states of bliss and peace and understanding. And then there's others that are suddenly going, oh shit, wait a minute. What is happening? Because like I said, with this thing going Frankenstein, I think some people are really waking up this week. Like, okay, something's not right here. And again, it comes to if you are in your power, if you're in your sovereignty, you know that nothing can touch you. Nothing can harm you. When you're connected to God and your mission and your purpose, I mean, when you don't fear death because you know where you're going, like, I mean, sorry, you can't really frighten me. Does that mean I want to die? No, I love being here. I love my life, but I also know when it's time for me to go, it's going to be time. And I know that this isn't it. And I know where I'm going, and it is what it is. But if you're stuck in Saturn in the 3D, I'm afraid to get sick, so I'm going to inject myself with this stuff because they tell me that I have to, because if I don't, I can't travel, and all this Saturn stuff, the illusion, the Maya, yeah, this is depressing. And it's not, and I'm not saying that I don't feel sadness about what's occurring, but this is why I do what I do. This is why I do astrology, because astrology awakens us to our true nature and our true power. It reminds us how powerful, what a miracle we are, what a miracle this life is. That's why I have my truther account, because as much as some of this stuff is hard to look at, once you know, you digest it, you accept it, you go through the grief process, which is part of it, and you come out the other side to your divinity, it's like, oh, there's so much magic happening here at the same time. But it's different realities for each person. So we really have to be there for one another where each person is at and how they're feeling, and that this can also change by the day, to some degree. It does ebb and flow. So we may see those in power do some weird display. There might be more censorship. The Great Conjunction was also when the IRS started talking about restrictions around cryptocurrency with like taxes and stuff like that. We could see something like that research. But whatever it is, also on an individual level, check what was coming up for you end of December, because this will be like a celebration or a climax of those energies in your own chart. The ruler of this chart is Uranus, the awakener. So this is going to be a big wake-up call. We are plugging in. It's going to shatter some realities. And for some, it might just push us a little bit more down the path we're on, which may mean departing, breaking ties, and breaking free from other things. So just really quickly before I go, I want to read something that I put up on my Instagram months ago that I really feel like illustrates the point I'm making here with this full moon. It was written in response to people saying that they needed to get the jab in order to travel or in order to whatever. So that's what I wrote this about. So I said, if Spirit wants me in service overseas, a way will be made for me. If Spirit wants me to be in service here, then here I will be. I will not bow to the will of a false god. I will not be coerced into decisions around my body temple out of fear. I answer to one truth. I honor the cycles of life and the timing of my journey. The moment of my death, like the moment of my birth, will be perfectly aligned. I honor the great mystery. I walk with gratitude for every moment I am alive, and I know that I will always be alive, for I am eternal. I am in service. I am sovereign. I am free. I am in perfect health. I have awakened from the dream spell, and I remember who I am, and I will not be led back asleep. So yeah, and I forgot, there was one thing I did want to talk about that this just reminded me of, and this is the dark side of Aquarius, which is the dark side of technology, AI, and progressions in technology that may not be for the highest good. I mean, there's a lot of talk when you really get into the nature of what is behind these jabs and where that agenda is headed. This talk of transhumanism, talk of merging man with machine, and also altering humans to the point where they're quote unquote immortal. And this is just, I'm sure I will be talking a lot about this in coming months and coming years, especially when Pluto goes into Aquarius. And that is this backwards idea that anyone would ever want to be locked into the third dimension for eternity. Like, to be so afraid of death, so disconnected from God that you want to stay here. I mean, don't get me wrong, like I love Earth, but you want to stay here forever and not go back to Creator, not elevate on your soul's journey. I mean, we already are immortal. Our souls are eternal. To be stuck here, that's enslavement. And by who? I mean, this is a crazy conversation, but like, I know some of you out there know what I'm talking about. That's where some people are wanting to go. And that is a timeline that is unfolding. And then there's another timeline where those that know who they are and are in their sovereignty, they're going to get closer and closer to nature and closer to their divinity and the nature of their true soul and their connection to God. And the magic of what it actually means to be human that's been hidden from us and programmed out of us and poisoned out of us with food and fluorinated water and pharmaceuticals and all the things. Like, as we awaken out of those things, I mean, do you see how there's these two timelines happening, right? Man. Woo! What a time to be alive. What a lifetime. Anyways, I'm going to be doing some more talks about that. I know I probably lost some people with this one, and I'm sure I'll get some interesting comments. And you know, if this channel is no longer in resonance for you, thank you for being on the journey with me this far. And, you know, if this isn't in resonance for you, there's no need to leave any hateful comments. Just, you know, bless the journey. But that's what we all need to be doing right now. We need to be speaking our truth. And if that means departing from certain people or certain things, that's the way that it is. And by speaking our truth, we're going to attract and magnetize more people to our lives and our work and our mission with our frequency. And it's all good. We're all finding one another where we need to be. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to put my website up there on the screen. If you want to reach out to me for a reading, you're more than welcome to do so. And if you've enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and a share. I really appreciate it. All right, guys, bye for now.